Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic, to cosplay, to Schitt's Creek, to Supernatural, and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and I'm sorry, my transition lenses, I promise I'm not trying to be a douchebag. I have transition lenses and I was outside right before this in the sun, and I know they're like, it makes me look like I'm trying to be all cool, and I am not. But anyway, welcome to week 3 of Christian fucking Bale Month. Next week will be the end of 2026's Christian fucking Bale Month. We will still have, which Carla and I have to talk about, a celebration for Christian's birthday. Erin A. came up with a great idea that will save me so much time. And so we're not going to do trivia the way we've done it before. It's going to be something related to these blockbuster games that I got. And so more to come. I haven't talked to Carla about it because it's just been insanity in my world. But anyway, let me introduce my lovely panelists for this episode, which we're going to be talking about the movie Hostels, which this was our first time watching this movie. So first up from OK Real Quick, and she's here every day of Christian fucking Bale Month, Carla. Hello, Carla.
Hello, Erin. Hello, people out there. Hello, Bale heads.
Yes, Bale heads. We hardly ever say that, and we should be saying it more because that is the name of Christian Bale fans. It's been around forever. So,
and that's the name of an actual fandom. It's not just one person being a fandom.
Yeah, it is. It's the name of an actual one. Man, these lenses are taking forever to transition back. They are a little lighter than they were. As Sara saw, they were just like dark as...
Yeah. I wear my sunglasses on live streams that are taped indoors.
And next up, it's her first time on a Christian fucking Bale episode. And I keep thinking I've got to be wrong about that, but I don't think I am. But
no, I don't think you are. I did American Psycho, but I don't think that was for Christian fucking Bale Month.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing. That was the very first not Christian episode, but Christian Bale episode. Yeah. We've never done a Christian episode.
There's one we could do Christian music.
Oh gosh. Can you imagine?
To compete with the Christmas music.
Watch that one jump to number 1 in like 3 weeks.
It would be so sad. I'd be so sad. I'd be like, that's a sign I should not do this anymore. But anyway, Sara. Hello, Sara. Did you say hello? I'm sorry.
I did. I said hello.
But we are, of course, talking about Hostels. Like I said before, this was a first-time watch for us for this 2017 movie. Definitely giving some trigger warnings because this movie needs trigger warnings. So racism, of course. Lots of murder, lots of violent murders. Kids being murdered, kids being killed. Racism, I already said that, but I'm saying it again. White men being absolute asshole white men. What's his name? Being like the typical that he always plays this
Ben
character.
Foster.
Thank you. Ben Foster being Ben Foster. Sorry, Ben. You're probably a nice guy in real life, but you do tend to play these characters a lot, and you're really good at playing these characters, Ben Foster.
Scarily good.
So this is the IMDb description. In 1892, a legendary army captain reluctantly agrees to escort a Cheyenne chief and his family through dangerous territory. This is based on things that did happen, so it is based on true events. It's directed by Scott Cooper and also written by Scott Cooper, and it's based on the manuscript that was found after he passed of Donald E. Stort. If you don't know, this marks the second time that Scott Cooper and Christian Bale worked together. The first time was in a movie that we haven't covered yet. We will at some point, called Out of the Furnace. And then he worked with him a third time in Pale Blue Eye. Scott Cooper, for 2025, directed and wrote Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. He tends to work with a lot of the same people. And he said when he was doing the Springsteen one that I was talking to one of my frequent collaborators, Christian Bale, about, about the Springsteen movie. That's just casually dropping, my frequent collaborator, Christian Bale.
My good pal.
Yeah, that happens a lot with Christian. And there was a TikTok that came out around the pale blue eye time where someone was asking Christian about, all the times working with Scott Cooper. And he's like, yeah, he's got something else that he might want me to do. But see, we're very different. Scott Cooper, he's like a cheetah and I'm like a sloth or something like that. Where Scott Cooper wants to work all the time and Christian Bale just doesn't want to work all the time.
And that's, I think, part of why I relate to him so much.
Yeah. It stars, of course, Christian Bale and then Wes Studi and Rosamund Pike and Rory Cochrane, Jonathan Majors, Timothy Chalamet, which I did not know. I didn't know half the people that were in this cast. I was like, what?
Yeah, he had like 5 lines.
Yeah. Adam Beach, Jesse Plemons, who I also didn't know was in this, Xavier Horsechief. I know, I'm so sorry. I'm trying so hard to pronounce this name so right, but Korikana Kilcher, who, like her, Jesse Plemons, Christian Bale, Rosamund Pike, like all of these roles, Wes Studi, everything was written specifically for these actors to play him. In fact, Scott Cooper said if Wes Studi had turned this down, he would have never made this movie.
Wow.
Like, point blank. So, yeah, just a little interesting little trivia fact there. Okay, so what I first want to know, Carla, and I know if you give it a half, this is kind of being cruel, I guess, but how on a scale of 1 to 5 horses, you half a horse?
It would have to be, if I did pick a half, it would have to be a front half because, I don't want people picking up a horse poop from a horse that is like, where's the rest of it? You don't need to worry about it because there's nothing to pick up. I guess I'll give it 2 horses and a pony so that we don't have to concern ourselves with hypothetical animal cruelty.
2 horses and a pony.
And a pony, yes. Not because I'm giving you a cute pony because I'm so excited about this movie, but to denote like a 0.25 of a horse.
So not even half a horse.
Not even half. Yeah, exactly. Like two horses and a miniature pony.
Wow.
Maybe 0.15. No, this movie from the jump made me so angry. And I know people love this movie. It's like really highly rated. It has like I think on Prime it's like 4.7 stars or something like that. Like something pretty high. It's well rated on other stuff. There are glowing reviews about it pretty much everywhere you look. It just made me angry, and I don't think that I was able to see past that. And I'll talk a little bit more about all of that. But yeah, I just could not find much merit in it beyond a couple of things.
Yeah, it's interesting reading some of the reviews of this and some of the reaction when people saw it. And like, I know Wes Studi, when he saw the screening of it in Telluride, like sobbed when it was over.
Really?
Yeah, so it is interesting. So, Sarah, and if you want to use the ponies, if you need a half as well, or a quarter.
I was actually thinking that, like, oh, we should use, a pony as a half a horse. I would give it 4 horses. It also made me angry, the movie, as well. Just a lot of, I don't want to say rage. That's a little extreme, but a lot. It's very disturbing at times, I thought, but I felt it was very well done, and I did see some merit in it. There were a couple things that I think they could have maybe expanded upon a little bit, but overall, I thought it was a very well done movie, and I told my husband he needs to watch it because it's one I think he would enjoy as well. It's definitely his type of movie. He's very much into like more period piece stories. So that would be me. 4 horses. Not of the apocalypse, though.
Wait, maybe if Horses of the Apocalypse are an option, well.
Oh, no. Oh, God. I just gave Carla ideas.
12 apocalyptic equines.
So like I said, this was a first time watch for me. I had been avoiding this movie, to be quite honest, for a lot of reasons, because I think when it comes to this subject matter, I do not think white men should be making these movies, point blank. And that was a lot of the reason I was very hesitant to watch this movie. I knew we would eventually cover it. I happen to be a fan of Scott Cooper. That doesn't mean that they are perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And I give this 3 horses mainly just for the performances. I too, the first few minutes of this movie, I almost went, maybe we just should not talk about this movie. I really was so pissed. I'm not trying to deny that certain things that happen in this movie possibly happened, but the way it was framed was very racist to me and very gross. And I did not appreciate the first opening part. I was like, wait a minute, what movie are we watching here? And I instantly paused it and I like went to all these things and I'm like, wait a minute. That's solely for the performances, but this movie made me very, very uncomfortable, which, I mean, these movies should make you uncomfortable, but this was uncomfortable in the way that it was like I saw someone compare it in a review, like this is like a more violent version of Dances with Wolves. And I thought that was interesting because it is very much like, oh, all the white people end up being like, oh, except for Ben Foster, and a few of the other people they kill that aren't that aren't important, quote unquote important. All the white people have, end up being okay with, with everybody else, with the Native Americans. And I'm like, this is not, no, I could not see, no. And that's just, I think, really a problem that happens a lot when you have white people making these movies that should not be making these movies, frankly. So, yeah. So those are strictly for the performances. And also probably because there's a part of me that doesn't want to, even though I could use the ponies, I still have this vision of like, I'm the one who put this rating system on there too. So it's all on me. I could have changed it to something else, like just 5 stars or
how many tents?
Yeah, tents could have been. There you go. Yeah, I do want to say really quickly, this has nothing to do with really the movie, but I was reading trivia about it, and Timothy Chalamet said, and he wouldn't name the actor, he said one actor wanted to be so true to the times that they refused to take a shower the whole entire, leading up to their scenes. And he wouldn't say who it was. It better not have been you, Christian. And he said it was ripes, so pungent and so let's not do that, actors out there.
Yeah, really. That's the kind of thing that where if you're gonna do something, don't do something that's gonna affect everybody else.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know there are certain people that do it just because they always smell bad. Brad Pitt, allegedly. Allegedly, he reeks all the time. So. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Brad Pitt's hygiene habits.
or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. Anyway, so since it is Christian fucking Bale month, I do want to start with talking about Christian Bale's performance and the character Captain Joe Blocker. And also, if you didn't know this in the trivia, Christian really fought Scott Cooper on the ending of this movie. He did not think it should have ended the way it did with his character. He thought his character should have just vanished into the crowd.
I agree.
And I happen to agree with Christian here. Yeah, he fought very hard for it. He was like, no, this should not happen. But yeah, anyway. So Carla, your thoughts on?
To be honest, I don't have a ton to say about performances because I was just so full of rage that I had a hard time really focusing on them. I do know that there are choices that Christian made in this that I really liked for, just the performance itself. And there were not a ton of longing looks at Rosalie. It really seemed like he was doing a very good job as an actor of showing when to show deference and compassion and contempt as it made sense for the role. The scene with him and his eventual sergeant, where the sergeant is talking about how he's been told that he has the melancholia, and Blocker's like, no, I don't. Listen, I watched Marcelo Hernandez's comedy special on Netflix, and the reason I'm bringing it up, is that right in the beginning, Marcelo talks about having ADHD and how if you have a Hispanic mother, you don't have ADHD. Why? Because she has said you don't have ADHD. It's like, hey, mommy, I've been told that I have ADHD. No, you don't. Oh, okay. I guess I don't have it. So same kind of thing where it's like there are some cultures and there are some like things have improved and changed to where there's a lot more acceptance of mental illness and of things like depression, where it's like, oh, it's okay. There's nothing morally wrong with you. It's just this is something that's happening where it's not as dismissed. And the reason that I like their conversation is that I think it is very real. You know, it's not an acceptable thing, but if we were to have had a scene where Christian showed in his face that like he's like, you know, deep down he's sympathetic and he really wants to just embrace his friend and be like, do you want to talk about it? Are you cool? Are you okay? It would have not been right for that character. And his dismissal of it, like he feels deeply responsible for his friends and for his people. But I think there's a difference between that and accepting like a diagnosis, as it were. So I did like the performance in that scene. But again, I was just incredibly, incredibly clouded by everything else in the movie. It was very hard for... Sir, not right now. I that's all I can say about your performance. Like, legit, I am doing my best. Hang on. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Christian. This is earlier than you've been on before.
Yes, it is. And it is still morning for you, so good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, Sara. It is nice to see you. I have never met you. I've never had the pleasure.
That's true. You've never met Sarah. Sarah, Christian,
That's true.
Christian,
That's
Sarah.
true. We have not met.
I am elated to meet you. Hello. Now, the reason that I'm here so early is because I have something very important to say. As you know, and as Erin has just said, the Carla definitely knew before this. I was very, very clear about the direction that I believe the ending should have gone. There is something else that you do not know, perhaps, maybe.
Okay.
All right. And I want you to understand, please.
Oh, you're blurry. You're blurry.
That is how serious I am
Yes.
about being understood. Oh, I am just awash in indignation that this is not more widely known. Carla, get out of the camera. This is my time. This is my time to shine. In a glossy, glossy way. As you know, I the kind of person who maybe does not necessarily always love to act, but I do love my people. And I have decided, I took it upon myself to write it into my contracts that whenever I do a movie that is a little westerny and we need a character who's a little murdery, that we should always have Ben Foster play those roles. So it is in my contract that Ben Foster will always, always, always have a place in a Western movie when there's a little murdery dude. Now, ponder with me. Let's sit and ponder for a moment. Let's just think about this for a moment.
Uh-huh.
Do you see? I am
Yes.
pondering. I am
I see you pondering.
pondering in the other realm, in a fourth dimension, if you will, about the talents of Ben Foster. And he can do so much more, but he chooses not to. And I respect that choice. I respect his desire and ability to just go where the wind takes him, and it takes him usually in a very creepy place. And not everybody can accomplish that as quickly as he can. He can just show up on the screen, look at the camera, and his eyes immediately say, I'm going to murder you.
It's true.
So I just wanted to jump in here and very quickly speak about my dear friend Ben Foster and the place that he has in my contracts. Any movie that I am in that is slightly westerny, Ben Foster shall be in and play a murdery dude.
I understand that, like in 310 to Yuma.
Yes. In fact, I do believe Carla may have mentioned some things like this, but I will just say that I did pitch the idea of having this movie called 310 to Yuma Part 2. Nobody went for it. And that, I believe, is to their detriment. But I can only fight so many battles.
Well, but you were a character that you wanted to root for in 310 to Yuma. You're not necessarily really a character you want to root for in this.
Yes,
No
of
offense,
course.
Christian,
And that is why it was on me to play in this westerny movie a role that is different from the role in 310 to Yuma and not on Ben Foster. Because why put such a charge on his young shoulders when I can carry it for the two of us?
Good point, Christian.
Well, I do try. Anyway, thank you so much for having me. Have you any questions for me before I go and eat some marshmallows on the couch?
Just one quick question before you go back to your marshmallow eating. I know, like, when we talked about 310 to Yuma, when we've talked about other movies, like, I know your dream project is still to play John Bon Jovi in the Bon Jovi biopic.
Always.
I know that that's been, like, your dream. We learned that, like, years ago. I think we learned it during our first Christian fucking Bale Month celebration. So when you did this, were you constantly listening to, Bon Jovi, like, especially, like, the stuff that he did for, like, the Young Guns?
I am so glad that you asked, Erin. Nobody ever thinks to ask me this. It is so important to me that people know just how much the album for Young Guns 2 has influenced my performances in those two movies. Now, I know that not everybody may be familiar with every single song from that album, but as you already know, the song San Jose is very important to me. It's very important to me. It may not be important to many other people, mostly because many other people don't bother listening beyond Place of Glory. That is all right. We don't all need to love the same things. But there we go. I have solved the problem. Look at me being a tech-savvy genius. All right.
Oh, you did solve the problem. Wow, you are so smart, Christian. It's all those marshmallows you eat.
Well, I don't want to brag about my high tech IQ because then I'll be cast as like the next Mark Zuckerberg movie, and I do not want that. I've played enough evil people in my life. However, so to get back to your question, Erin, let's ponder for a moment about the soundtrack to Young Guns 2. The song that most impacted me in my performance in that was, of course, Santa Fe, which I've already spoken about. And yes, I did listen to Blaze of Glory a few times. But that is a song called Blood Money. And the reason that it impacted me for this movie is that my character did not want it, and not for moral reasons, not like, oh, I killed enough of these people and maybe I should stop now and maybe have some, like compassion and maybe repent a little bit. No, I wanted my pension money. So I wanted my blood money. So I listened to Blood Money on repeat many times while I was showering often because I did shower.
Good, you weren't the stinky one.
I am not a stinky actor, please. I may be many things. I've been called many things, but I am not a stinky actor.
That's good. I would think Carla wouldn't want you at her place every year.
She would never allow that. At least I don't think so. I haven't tried. Maybe I'll try.
Oh, God. No, don't try. Please don't try that.
Are we sure?
Oh, we're sure. You put Carla through enough with the marshmallow budget, not contributing to housework.
All right, fair enough.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering that question, Christian.
As always, I am at your service, Erin. Speak to you again soon. Ta-ta.
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 Sarah, that's your first time experiencing. Oh, okay,
Yes.
there. I was like, it still froze on Christian for a moment there.
Not complaining.
But was that all you had on the character too? Though?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I've said my piece and then some.
Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you, Christian. Please start contributing to the household chores.
Amen.
You have a lot of money. Can you,
For real.
Like,
And when he's here, he has nothing but free time. So, bro, like, step up.
Yeah. At least hire someone.
I know.
Right?
So, Sarah, your thoughts on the character and Bale's performance?
Well, I just want to say what a pleasure it was to meet Christian. It's my first time meeting him. It was utterly delightful and entertaining.
He is very pleased to have met you.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to top that. Seriously, though, I thought Christian Bale's performance was excellent. There were certain times during the movie, he starts out the movie coming across, he's obviously racist, has murdered countless, I guess, Native Americans. He's not a good person. And he is definitely not one that you want to cheer for. And of course, there very much is that trope of, you know, they have this hatred of each other and coming together and fighting together and ending up with a mutual respect for each other. I mean, I could see that coming a mile away. But that being said, no, I thought it was a great performance. I don't really have much to elaborate on there other than, the character growth or wasn't, I had some issues with the character growth because a person doesn't go from being this awful racist murderer to suddenly having all this respect and empathy. That transition isn't that quick, I think. I mean, I know it's a movie, they're trying to tell a story, they're trying to they're trying to make a point. I get that. And sorry, but I agree with Christian on the ending. It should not have ended the way it did. He should have just walked off instead of hopping on the train. I saw it coming. I knew it was going to happen, but I don't think it should have ended that way. So, sorry, Scott Cooper. You should have listened to Christian. Always listen to Christian. That's good advice.
Yeah.
I don't have much more to elaborate on that.
Not really much more to add except for the fact that this is one of my biggest issues with this movie is the fact that this character that is basically like scum and murdering scum who likes to murder. I mean, frankly, that's the way it is presented and is racist and horrible. And I mean, the fact that the second he gets this, job and like is positioned to try and, escort Chief Yellowhawk, he instantly doesn't want to do it. And then like he's puts them in like chains and all this horrible stuff. He's instantly a horrible, awful person. And then to have him redeemed like that, like so quickly, like you said, Sarah, quote unquote redeemed. I don't really believe any of that, to be honest. And it's not because of Christian's performance or anything like that. It's because it's just not believable. It's just not believable that this character would go from being that hateful to like, I don't know, 2 days later being like, oh, I'm I'm all of a sudden not racist and I'm like this good guy. It's bullshit and it's just absolute utter bullshit. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. And he should have died, in my opinion. He should have died. He should have died. He should have just died. One of my biggest issues with this film is the ending. I hate the ending of this movie so much. And part of it is the fact that he survived. In that last, when they are trying to bury Chief Yellowhawk at the place in Montana, and they have that shootout with that racist family there, he should have died. He should have died. And the fact that everybody else except for the child, every single Native American dies is such bullshit and such this white savior thing, because of course the white woman is going to, and it's all BS, and he should have died. And it makes no sense that he didn't. And it's kind of a cop-out that he didn't, frankly. And it really, really pissed me off. And so I don't think, I don't even necessarily think there should have been any kind of redemption arc for him because it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. If you're going to do any kind of redemption, quote unquote, thing, although you don't want to get into the white savior territory, but I guess it could have been like at that final shootout, a little tiny bit of like, well, no, we're going to bury him here and you're not going to stop me. But also that whole scene is also so gross because he's also like not even considering everybody else around him when he's doing that whole scene. He's like, yep, I'm going to put you all in danger. It doesn't really matter. It's like,
oh my God.
Okay. And also Rosalie Quaid was also putting everybody in danger too. So it's like, anyway. So I think Christian Bale does a good job, of course, because he almost always, except for Public Enemies, sorry, Christian, but he almost always does such a fantastic job. But I just, be just a bad person because that's more realistic of the time too. And I don't know, the redemption thing and him surviving in the end and then getting on that train at the end. Whoa, it was such bullshit. And so I was not a fan. I forgot to put spoiler warnings at the beginning of this movie, so or this conversation, so we're spoiling everything. But
There will be spoilers.
but yeah, so those are my thoughts. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about a couple of the other characters. And I know I didn't put all the characters because there's so many characters, but feel free to sprinkle in thoughts about other ones when we talk about these characters too. So we'll be right back. If you're anything like me, once the holidays are over, you might start feeling like you've got like a big spending hangover. The drinks, the holiday food, the gifts, it just all adds up. Luckily, Mint Mobile is here to help you cut back on overspending this January with 50% off unlimited premium wireless. Before I switched to Mint Mobile, I didn't have the high-speed data or the very reliable 5G network. In fact, I'd go like a couple blocks away and I'd lose my coverage. But now with Mint Mobile, I no longer have to worry about that. Plus, no more hidden charges on my phone bill. And with plans starting at $15 a month, you can see your phone bill cut in like half. I switched, and so should you. Mint Mobile's end-of-year sale is still going on, but only until the end of the month. So cut out big wireless's bloated plans and unnecessary monthly charges with 50% off 3, 6, or 12 months of unlimited. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text, delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. This January, quit overspending on wireless with 50% off unlimited premium wireless. Plans start at $15 a month at mintmobile.com/fandom. That's mintmobile.com/fandom. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra, initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so let's talk about Chief Yellowhawk, played by, of course, Wes Studi. Little trivia here. I got to see years ago at the Colorado Film Festival. He was a part of a panel and got to see him on a panel. And it was such a great panel. Was talking about, I can't even remember what he was talking about. I wish I could, but it was, I don't know. Every time I see him, oh my gosh. And he's like so handsome up close, like right there.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, oh my God, gorgeous man. So anyway, Carla, what are your thoughts on this character?
I would love to give you my thoughts on this character if there were many thoughts to be given, simply because what is this movie even doing? They barely focus on Chief Yellowhawk and his family. Like, yeah, they're there and you can see them. What the hell are we doing with these characters? All they do is basically say the lines that are given to characters who are native people of the land that is being cleared that result in basically like forgiveness and we're cool, man. Like that's all that's really given for him to do. In this movie, okay, Chief Yellowhawk and his family, they're just there to receive the hatred of the white people and the fear of the white people and the mercy of the white people and the regret of the white people, but they're never fleshed out. They're never given anything to do than to be a problem or a burden or a catalyst for the change in the hearts of these white people. And then the women in his family, they're only there to lend dresses and to get kidnapped and to be raped and murdered. There is nothing in this movie that tells you almost anything about Chief Yellowhawk and his family. Now, Wes Studi, I think, did the best he could with the material. I'm sure he didn't take this movie just because it's like, I thought of you and you should be in it. Oh, okay, I guess. Thanks. I don't know. But I just, it's incredibly frustrating watching any movie. And now, mind you, this movie, I didn't know that it existed. It was never on my radar. It's not the kind of movie that I'm interested in general anyway. Like I don't seek out this particular genre of film. So I went into it completely unknowing. Like I basically was like, where's it? Where's the streaming? Okay, hit play. Let's start this. Oh, this is awful. I'm absolutely livid that somebody who is so talented is given such a trite role, and that the Cheyenne people are not given their due. I don't know how else to put it. There's nothing in there that tells you anything about the Cheyenne people other than vaguely where they lived or where they were from and where they were, migrated to and whatever. They don't tell you anything because when we're talking about indigenous people of the North Americas, there is almost never any distinction made among them because this is not a homogenous group. It's just like when you're talking about European history, there are very big distinctions made among Greeks and the people who eventually became the Italian people, and then the Celtic people and the Scots and the Anglo-Saxons and all of that. We know all of those words. When we're talking about indigenous people of the North Americas, we're basically told they were here and they lived in tribes. That's all we're given for the most part. Even when they do break it down, because in this movie they do talk a little bit about, Comanche and Apache and Cheyenne, but that's not enough. Those are just words. You're not talking about culture, about traditions, about heritage. There's nothing to tell you that you're actually paying attention to the people that you're talking about. And having this movie, like, written by a white dude, directed by a white dude, where the protagonist is a white dude, and is being framed as some kind of, progressive depiction of indigenous people in some way. How? There is nothing even remotely progressive about the depiction of anybody who is darker than, I guess the most that Christian Bale can tan. That's and it infuriates me because I would have loved to have seen more about Chief Yellowhawk. I would have loved to have known more about him and his family and how it is that they ended up where they were, because they tell you vaguely like, oh, he was at Wounded Knee and he and his people fought against Blocker and his people and stuff happened and it was not good stuff, but we both did bad things, bro, so we're cool. Okay. That informs me 0% about the man's heart. And all you're telling me about him as a person and about his heart is that as he's dying, he is telling Rosalie, I will carry you with me in my soul. Ew. That means nothing because it's not exactly like, it didn't have extended interactions. It always comes down to the people being oppressed ending up forgiving the oppressors, with the oppressors doing little to nothing to merit it. Like, the only reason that he was unshackled wasn't because Blocker had a change of heart about how horribly people were being treated. It's because he needed a hand fighting the people who were about to kill them. It was self-preservation. It wasn't humanity. There was no redemption arc. There's no character growth. Like, oh, he became a good person. No, he conveniently had people with him who knew how their opponents fought, and he was able to utilize that strategically to prolong his life, and almost nobody else's. So I would love to tell you so much about him, but there's really nothing there to say.
Yeah, and I haven't read up on the real person that this is based on, that the story is based on, but yeah. And you're shown good and bad. You're not shown any in between as far as you're shown murderers and not murderers. And it's yeah. So, Sarah.
Yeah, I have to agree with Carla on that. I had the same thoughts regarding him and his family. They really didn't serve much of a purpose to the story other than to tell Blocker's story. I felt that's what they were there for, was to highlight his story. And as I was watching it and just thinking about the treatment of Indigenous people, it occurred to me, and like Carla was saying, that we aren't really taught that history. It's still American history, but we're never, it's very much glossed over, maybe a little whitewashed or a lot whitewashed, but we're never really taught other than, the names of the names of different nations and that, and, just some things, but we're never really taught that history. And it's kind of sad. And watching it, I'm like, I really need to pick up a history book or something because we're not, it's, I'm sure there are people who, have studied Indigenous people, but it's not part of our curriculum. It's not really part of our curriculum in the public school system. And it should be. That was my initial thought watching this is why aren't we taught more about this? And it's a shame because that's still, I mean, that's why I was angry. That's what made me angry watching this. That's more what made me angry is that we don't have, that we aren't taught that. And what we did to the Indigenous people is just atrocious. It's just absolutely horrendous what we've done and are still doing in a lot of cases. So that's kind of what made me angry about it. But yeah, I really don't have much more to say on the character because there really wasn't a lot to, I guess, not absorb from him, or his family, but they were just kind of there. Unfortunately, I think there could have been a lot more. And that was one of the things that I was going to say is they could have done a lot more with those characters, and even the way that they ended it, where he wanted to be buried. I expected them to reunite with other Cheyenne people instead of just burying him with his family present in a field.
Yeah, burying him and then they all die except for one, except for the grandson. Yeah. They all die. They all get murdered, and you don't even really ever see him necessarily die. Which I'm not saying I wanted to see, but if that's the big thing is that he's going there because he is dying from cancer. It should be a big, huge, profound moment for him and his family when he passes away. Right. And they don't even give him that or give his family that. So that's not even shown in here either. And the reason we're not taught this in history is because we don't want to be taught this in history. It's simple as that, because we don't want to be taught anything in history that paints white people in any bad light. And that's why it's not taught. And people are like, well, it's in the past, so we should not teach it, mainly because people don't want to look at that. I will say in my high school, because I went to an alternative school, we had our history class was Native American history was our history class. But I'm not saying that as like, oh, so we were so much better, because yes, it was great to have that class and learn stuff you're not learning in other history classes, but it was still majority white, and still, that was still an issue there. So, yeah, not much else to add except for to say that, yeah, it's like if you build this as a movie about this white man and, about Christian's character, and then you have Wes Studi's character about Chief Yellowhawk, and you have these characters, and that's how you're building this movie, but you have who's supposed to be, I guess, your second lead, maybe, but you give them like nothing to do except for back up the white people and make the white people feel better about being horrible people and forgiving them. And it's just not a good look. And that's, again, why these movies should not be made by white men and white people in general. And, that's the issue. And that's why, when I read that one review comparing it to Dances with Wolves, it's very similar. That's a very good comparison. And they just said it's just a more violent version of Dances with Wolves, because Dances with Wolves, the big problem with that, of course, is it's all focused on Kevin Costner's character, and it's so whitewashed. And So yeah, so we do need to learn more about our true actual history, and that's something we have to fight for and ask for and, you know, try and encourage, and it's something we need to learn, and it's something that, and also just people that when you're adults, you can still keep learning, and you should
Oh,
keep
absolutely.
learning. As
Yeah.
as white people, we do need to keep learning, and we all need to learn about our own racial biases, and we need to learn our own history. So it's on us as well, and we can't be like, educate us. We need to educate ourselves as well. So it's really important, especially with everything that's going on right now. You know, ICE is harassing Indigenous people as well. So it's not ICE. So it's that whole thing. That is Nazis. That's what Nazis did. That's Nazi behavior. That's what we've done before in this country too. So it's not like we haven't done that before. That's what we did. That's how this country was founded. And the fact that, it's that we don't learn from our mistakes is because we don't want to learn from our mistakes. And we can't just stick our heads in the ground, and we have to learn this stuff. So, unfortunately, this movie wasn't trying to teach us that stuff. This movie was trying to teach white people to be better somehow without really learning anything. But
Without
white
working
people,
for it. Yeah.
yeah, white people do better, and you will be fine. That's kind of the message here, is just, say you're sorry, and that's all you have to do. Beg for forgiveness or whatever a couple of the characters did in here. So yeah. And that whole ending was so horrendous. I couldn't believe that. I mean, logically, yes, I can believe it, but still, I was like, really? You're killing basically everyone except for the grandson? You're killing everyone? Everyone? I would have been fine if, a lot of the soldiers died. That's fine. But I was
Right.
just like, what? What's the point then if you're doing that? Oh, to have the white woman be able to raise a child.
Oh
Right.
my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man,
And to
how's
be
that gonna go?
clear, listeners, Erin is not saying that they should have also killed the grandson.
Oh yeah, no, that's not what I meant. I meant,
No.
No, I'm just
yes,
kidding.
thank you. Okay, yeah. I do not think the grandson, that would have been, oh my gosh.
Can
Oh
you
my
imagine? Like, oh,
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think they kind of went, well, we can't go that far. We can go far, but not that far. Okay, so we're going to take, oh no, I'm sorry, we're not taking a quick break again. We're talking about the poor white woman. Yes, I know she's put through hell. I'm sorry, I know, but still. So we're going to talk about Rosalie Quaid, played, of course, by, fuck, why the hell is her name forgetting me? Her name is forgetting me all of a sudden.
Rosamund
That's
Pike.
not, thank you. Why the hell did I just all of a sudden her name just flew out of my head? So, played by Rosamund Pike. So, Carla, your thoughts?
Okay. I didn't care much about the performance. And listen, okay, that's not to say that she did a bad job or anything. I simply could not register her performance because it just, from the first scene, every performance was overshadowed by the actions in the movie. It's very, very Hollywood, and it's very, very United States to take the pale, white, blonde woman and have something horrible happen so that she can be sympathetic. And, this movie is supposedly based on true events. I don't know that the whole thing is true events or that it is like a pastiche of several true and true-ish events. I don't know. But there is no doubting that there were women left in Rosalie's position. But for the purposes of this movie, it's just very convenient to have all of those things happen to her. And then to put her in the path of somebody who is going to be big and manly and take care of her. And she can have her little fits of rage and be all girl boss and try to dig her family's graves with her own hands, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous and to me kind of cheapened her grief because it made her look silly. It made her look silly to ineffectually throw a shovel into the dirt and haplessly throw some clumps of dirt around and eventually pass on the shovel to somebody more competent. either have her be competent at this or have her be fully helpless, because this honestly was like a slap in the face to Rosalie and what she was experiencing. It made her look like a fool, in my opinion. I did not care for it. But to be perfectly honest, all she was to me was an embodiment of the Indian Child Welfare Act. What is the Indian Child Welfare Act, you may be asking? It is a thing where the law decided that Indigenous people were not capable of raising their children themselves because they are not worthy of that human aspect. So their children are escorted elsewhere to live better lives of dignity and proper education and culture and knowledge, which means that they were put into white homes to be raised outside of their community and away from their own families in a manner that is considered acceptable and respectable by white settlers. And the result of that, of course, is people being cut off from their heritage. Because, Rosalie's not going to sit there and take the time to find out, what the Cheyenne do as a people, like anything about them or the community. Because if that were the case, she would have found his people when they were in his family's native region and tried to help him connect with his community. But no, instead it's like, oh, well, but you're cute, so I guess you can come with me. And here, let me put a suit on you so that you can look acceptable. Look how cute how much cuter you look now, looking like a real boy. They treat him like a pet, as if, he was like an abandoned kitten and they put him in a cute carrier. That's, to me, absolutely reprehensible. And to try to romanticize it as like some beautiful thing that this woman with like a heart of gold and like, obvious, strong moral fiber through her own grief takes the time and care to bring into her life this kid. Okay. And also it's because we see what she went through before, it's also a bit of like a consolation prize for this poor white woman who has gone through so much. And even though they try to, they kind of try to, and again, like just white men doing white man things, aside from like the whole shovel thing, they have her kind of like seem so independent, like, oh, yeah, this is a Western movie, but it's a modern Western movie. So she is, picking up a knife and a gun and she can take care of herself. And yes, she does get kidnapped, ostensibly raped, but it's okay because that's just what happened to the women out in these wild times. And also she's strong and resilient. And because she's so strong and resilient, she was able to immediately open herself up in all the ways to a strong white man who was able to cleanse her of the whatever. So again, as far as the performance, I'm sure it's there. I'm sure, there were good things about it. I just can't see past everything that is really making me so angry about the character and the circumstances of this character. I can't excuse the way that this was written, the purpose for writing it this way, which is to make white people look superior and more giving and more benevolent and more forgiving. And, because again, we've all done bad things to each other, but look how much I'm forgiving you. No, I'm forgiving you more. I'm forgiving you the most. And in fact, I'm forgiving you so much that I will take care of your abandoned child that clearly would be better off with me because I can give him the life that he could never have with his own people.
Yeah, I'm still shocked hair wasn't cut like instantly, like, that
oh yeah,
kind
I
of
was
shocked
fully
me.
waiting for that. I was fully waiting for that. And just, it tells you everything. I mean, just the movie frame by frame spells out why this man shouldn't have been making this movie to begin with. But like, it really seals the deal when not only do you get a, beautiful, frail, but strong, super pale white woman who has been deprived of her family that she birthed herself and therefore means more than anything, and is given this kid to raise as a show of like benevolence to the earth. And as a bonus, she also gets a man.
Yeah. Sarah, your thoughts?
I don't think I really have much to add. I thought her performance was good, but it was a little all over the place in terms of dealing with her grief, where she starts out that when they first find her in the cabin and she's like, they're sleeping. And then at some point she switches and realizes, no, they're actually dead. And, I didn't have an issue with the whole trying to dig the grave with her hands because, I don't, people grieve differently. It felt like that could be a natural response. I don't have an issue with that. But, and she goes from that to, being terrified of the family to almost being a part, not necessarily being a part of the family, but she is obviously scared and angry, and she forgives them very quickly, even though they're obviously not the same people that killed her family. And then she ends up, almost badass type pioneer woman at the end. Yeah, and that ending, I actually did not know. Thank you, Carla, because I did not know about that Welfare Act. I did not know that was a thing, and that is horrible. And I can see, after you explaining that, I see that now. I could see that now, and that's exactly, I feel like that's exactly what it was. But, the whole, I don't know why. I mean, I still stand by my rating, but overall, yeah, I still overall have an issue with that ending. And I still don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but they were so close to the Cheyenne. Like, why didn't they try and find other family for this child instead of just, oh, you're going to come live with me now and everything's going to be great. It was a little, because I think Carla said everything perfectly. So
Yeah, it was very much, the reason they didn't is that, well, Rosalie lost her family, so she gets to have a replacement, quote unquote, replacement family. And who cares how the grandson feels, and who cares, about that, and who cares about his family, and who cares about any of that, because Rosalie went through hell. And so here we have to reward her for having to go through hell and finding forgiveness. So here's your reward, is a kid, and whose family died because you opened fire right away.
right,
I mean, you caused this to happen too. So it's that whole thing. And yeah, I will add, yeah, you just really research. That's again, learning history. So research everything like that. And it wasn't just, I want to remind everybody, this stuff didn't just happen in the United States. This is also in Canada. So please remember that too, because I know we try in the United States, at least, a lot of people, like to paint this picture of like Canada being like this perfect, happy, everybody's nice place. And it's not. So I just want to make sure, when you're learning that history, you're also learning that history as well. So yeah. But yeah, this is just the typical white, pretty blonde woman who is put through hell in the beginning. And honestly, this character shouldn't have even been in this movie. Frankly, I think the character could be quickly taken out and you don't need her. The only reason she's in there is to put her through hell so that we can have like a white person we're supposed to be rooting from the beginning, and have her then be put through hell and then be like, oh, I need a baby. And now I can have another child. All my children died. And yeah, with the grief thing, with the grave thing, you didn't necessarily need that when you have a scene of her in bed or sitting by the bed of her dead children are lying there in the bed. That's all you needed. You did not need that, because that right there expresses right there that she is in shock. She hasn't comprehended. She hasn't come to terms yet with the fact that her children, are dead. But yeah, she wasn't necessary in this movie. I think the other reason she was put in here was to give Christian Bale's character a different side and to show like a softer side of this character before he even gets redeemed. So I think that's part of why she was also in here. And then to have it be a love story, kind of like implications of a love story, was really ridiculous and stupid and out of place. And that did not need to happen either. But yeah, definitely, once again, learn your history and the fact that he got put in clothes that were, like you said, Carla, quote unquote, more suitable, more okay. It still shocks me though that his hair wasn't cut, but I'm sure that's going to happen. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm positive that's going to happen because we don't get anything else of these people, of course, but I am positive that will definitely happen. And I'm positive he will slowly, like, his language will not be embraced in the house, like it was, because I don't think she's going to necessarily learn it. I know he knows it. I know Joe knows it, but that doesn't mean that she's going to learn it because we see no indication that she's trying to do that. So I'm betting that will happen as well, where it'll be like, okay, so you need to just, we're going to help you be quote unquote better and live in what will be a better society for you. And you are my replacement child.
Yep.
And anyone that's a replacement child like that too is already going to have a hell of a time. So putting everything else on top of it too. So yeah. Okay. Well, for those listening, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're just going to talk about anything else that we want to mention about how well or really not so well the film handled the very real events and murders of the time and just, history in general. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we are back. Of course, we didn't go anywhere for people watching the video. You might have been like, where'd you go? You didn't go anywhere. Unless you click pause on the video and then you're like, I'll wait 2 seconds. Or I don't know. But anyway, we're here. So Carla, any other thoughts you want to share on how not so well the film did with its subject matter?
Okay, and this is where I'm just going to say, please bear with me because I have a lot to say. And first thing I'm going to say is I would encourage people to look at the review of this movie by a YouTube channel called Red Streak Girl Nikki. And it is a review from 7 years ago, hosted by Nikki and her friend Desiree. Nikki, the host of that channel, is Standing Rock Sioux in Navajo. So, and part of the reason that the channel was created was to talk about native representations in media. It's kind of telling to me that there are only 5 videos on this channel and that the most recent one is from 5 years ago. Anyway, I think that the review is definitely worth looking into. And just one thing that I want to mention, neither Desiree nor Nikki say that they hated this movie or anything like that. They've in fact recommended it to people, but with a lot of caveats. So, because I think that because of the subject that we're talking about, the first voices that we should be looking for are the voices of people whose people have gone through this, have been subjected to, colonialism. So it took a lot of scrolling to get to their video. There are a lot of white people very interested in giving their opinions and glowing reviews of this movie. I was not interested in listening to that because you'll have had your say. You're good. So one thing that they brought up, and they did bring up the Indian Child Welfare Act. They also brought up the fact that a lot of kids who were not placed into white homes were sent to boarding schools. And as we know, boarding schools are not better than being left with their communities. They're not better than being placed with white people, not only because then you're cut off from a lot more people and resources in general, but because the solution that a lot of these boarding schools found to the problem of there being Native kids was to eliminate the Native kids. There have been mass graves found with Native kids. I think it's very important that if you have never heard of the Indian Child Welfare Act, that if you've never heard of boarding schools for Native kids, that you look into it. It's an important part of North American history that should not be obfuscated any longer because people like to keep burying it over and over again. The other thing I want to mention, scalping. Scalping is not exclusive to North American indigenous people. There are histories of scalping all the way back to Herodotus, the Greek historian. Okay, so this isn't even within the Common Era. This predates the Common Era, and it goes back to all throughout Eurasia. There are documented examples of this. The reason that I'm bringing up scalping is because that's what we open with. We open with Rosalie's husband being scalped. And yes, they talk about how, Custer and Blocker, they also took, like a large amount of scalps themselves. So they talk about it. The only one that they show is perpetrated by Indigenous people. And they show it very graphically. They showed it at the beginning to set the tone of the movie. And what does that do is that it sets you up to only visibly imagine it being committed by Indigenous people. To throw in some more history, the Spencer Phipps Proclamation of 1755, this was a declaration that reads, quote, "For every scalp of such female Indian or male Indian under the age of 12 years that shall be killed and brought in as evidence of their being killed, 20 pounds. So there was a price, the scalps of Indigenous children. The equivalent to today's currency is 5,000 pounds or 12,000 US dollars. The scalp of a male Native American could fetch 2.5 times this amount. This is from an article from the website The Conversation, titled Indigenous Peoples Day offers a reminder of Native American history, including the scalping they endured at the hands of the colonists, by Christoph Strobel. It's from 2023. The fact that a lot of people don't even know that it extends outside of North America and it extends before colonialism is not shocking. It's not even surprising. But that's why people need to seek out this information and realize that this isn't just some random person in a podcast telling you this. There is evidence that you can go seek out yourself. The movie is saying, see, we want you to think that we think that the Native people are the hostiles, but then we turn it around and we show you that actually we think that we're all hostiles because all of us do bad things. And really, if all of us are bad, then are any of us really bad? I mean, we loan each other dresses and we share sandwiches. And, in the opening scene, it's just to let you know that they started it with a murdering and stuff. And, we will mention that Blocker scalped many people. We're only going to show you kind of geographically where they did it. But in the name of equality, please note that we're all bad. So that means that we're all good. Anyway, God bless guns. That's the entire movie right there. This entire movie is just white people telling on themselves. If you look at the way that the people who were picked for the mission to take Chief Yellowhawk to his homeland, it's almost like they picked Blocker for this mission because, and this is just, a ridiculous thing to say, but it's like, okay, well, maybe we don't need to pay him his pension if we send him on a mission where he's probably not going to make it. I just want to let you know, 1892, there were trains that would take you from New Mexico to Montana. There was no reason to take a month-long trip on horses. Absolutely no reason other than a choice that was made for the sake of this movie. And in this mission, they send him with like a fresh new kid, a guy with major depression, a black soldier that they could care less whether he came back or not, and Jesse Plemons, because I have nothing to assign to him. But it was incredibly effed, in my opinion, that Woodson, the black officer, was the one who was ordered to put Yellowhawk in chains. We all know the history of slavery. We all know the history. If you don't know, I would be kind of shocked if you didn't. But this movie takes place after the Civil War, and these are Union guys. So these are supposed to be the good guys, right? These are supposed to be the ones who fought the South to free black people from slavery and to help cast chains off of people. This is clearly not true. And there is no such thing as a war in the United States that hinges on much beyond the needs of a certain subset of white people. Okay, I'm not going to get into that right now. But yeah, so Blocker has Woodson chain Chief Yellowhawk. And I found that disgusting, not just because this frail elderly man who is dying of cancer is being chained just because this one guy wants to chain him because he wants to be a jerk. He has the Black person do it. That's, again, white people telling on themselves. Everything about this movie and why I cannot look past any of these things, everything about this tells me that there is so much more education that needs to be done and so much more learning that white people need to be willing to do. Because that's the thing. The information exists. The information is out there, but it is on white people to actually want to learn it. There is no shortage of ways to be exposed to this information. We live in an age where it's almost inexcusable to not seek out information because it is in your phone and your phone basically lives in your hand. If you can't take the moment to look up something that you're like, oh, I hadn't heard of this, maybe I'll look into it, then I don't even know what to say. There are people who are just unwilling to be educated. And that's partly, we can go back to No Child Left Behind and how and even back further, Reagan and beyond, how the U.S. educational system has been set up to teach the least, to provide the least amount of information to the fewest people possible. Schools are defunded over and over and over and over again. Textbooks are cut down and cut down and cut down and cut down to the point where teachers have to seek information outside of the textbooks to give a full history to the kids. And that's if the teachers care. And that's if the teachers believe that there is more history that merits being taught. And lastly, I just want to say that this movie, if you think it's from 2017, so they were doing the best that they could and they were really trying and, we can do better. Yes, absolutely. People can do better. The manuscript is from the 80s. So somebody picked up a manuscript from the 80s and decided this is a good idea. Let's make this. There wasn't a thought to, you know what? Maybe it's not aged particularly well. Maybe we can see something newer. Maybe something written by an Indigenous person. And maybe when we shoot this movie, we can center the Indigenous people, or hell, give them equal play with these roles instead of highlighting the white guy and what he's going through as he is in this arc of redemption where he does nothing to earn redemption, but ends up with it anyway, and ends up with mercy and forgiveness that he is not deserving of. And that's a lot of Hollywood. Not even in 2017, not even in the 1980s. It is today.
And it's going backwards and not forwards, too.
Yeah.
And I will put links in the show notes to everything Carla has referenced so that you can go and watch it and also read it because, once again, learning, we need to learn more, especially, every day we need to, but we need to continue to do that as white people. Okay, Sara,
I really don't have much to add other than to touch on, the points that we've made a couple times about you're never too old to learn. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from this movie is how little we have learned, how little we know or have educated ourselves about the Indigenous people. And it actually, I really had that thought, like, I need to get some history books because I other than, like I said, other than names of some of the different tribes, nations, I really don't know. So it actually did make me want to seek out that information. So I view that as a positive. I don't know if other people watching it had the same reaction, but it made me want to seek out that information. And I mean, you're right about the school system. Everything, it's constantly being underfunded, cost cuts, cost cutting. And I mean, what we pay our teachers is ridiculous. And I mean, the history books are just being more and more whitewashed and altered. And it's a shame. So, yeah, I mean, Carla is always very good about explaining things. I, Carla, I wish I had your I don't even know what word it is,
I have
but
to tell you this, a lot of it comes from being minority, racialized, and put in a situation where you have no choice. And the education comes from it being all around you because the information is all around all of us. But I think only those of us who experience constant oppression pay attention to it.
no, I agree. So, yeah, that's it from me.
I think right now, like when you're taking situations right now, like with what's going on with the current administration, what's going on with ICE and the Nazis and everything that's going on right now, and the killings and the murders, which once again, Renee Nicole Good wasn't the first person murdered by ICE, period, and wasn't the first person murdered by ICE this year. There's also Keith Porter. So just remember that too. I know it's like because a white woman was murdered, you see a lot more people like galvanizing and, coming together and speaking out, which I'm not discouraging speaking out, but I also just want to make sure that people realize that as well. There is a whole list you can find of people that ICE murdered in 2025 as well. So that's not a new thing. And that's the thing is that it's on us as white people to want to learn and want to educate ourselves. There's been so much free labor done by everyone else, and we need to start doing that. And I, again, encourage people to read the book, white women, to read the book, White Women, Everything You Already Know About Your Own Racism and How to Do Better by Regina Jackson and Sara Rao. I totally recommend this book all the time because it is not sugarcoating anything, and it should start your path of learning. It'll make you incredibly uncomfortable, which it should do. And you need to confront your own racism and your own bias. And that's the only way we can ever make any kind of change, is by actually looking at that and learning history, reading history books, watching videos, searching ourselves, and not having everybody else do the work for us. I'm talking about white people as a collective here. We all need to do better about this. And white women, especially, I'm calling you out because I think white women, we have too often used the fact that we're women as a way to safeguard us from the fact that we think we don't need to do any work because we're women and we have to deal with sexism and misogyny. And so because we have to deal with that, we aren't as bad as other white people. And that's simply not true. So we need to do better with all of that. This movie was, I think when you said that, Sara, about how this made you want to learn more, I honestly, and I haven't polled every white woman white person who watched this, but I honestly think you're probably in a minority there, because I think probably white people watched this and all the work was done for them, supposedly. They're like, okay, I watched this and now I'm assuaged of any guilt I could possibly have for what happened. And I don't have to learn anything because I've been told that, yeah, white people were bad, but indigenous people were bad, quote unquote bad. So I can assuage all my guilt. And then like the whole thing with the chains thing, who removes those chains? A white person removes those chains. That's also important to look at too.
Yeah.
So yeah, where it's like, oh, okay, see, this movie really is a way to assuage white people's guilt and to be like, you shouldn't feel as guilty as you feel. Whether or not that, I mean, that's what I think the intent is of this movie. That's why I doubt most people, Sara, went, I need to go learn more about history. I think people went, oh, I've learned about history.
Yeah.
I'm done. That's all I need to learn is what I've learned in this movie. So, which is not true. We need to keep educating ourselves and keep learning. And like has been said, the information is out there. It's not, like the information is not available to you. It's like the fact that people keep saying, oh, I wish we had this person back in office and this person. No, this stuff started decades ago, okay? It's just more, quote unquote, blatant from that person because that person doesn't doesn't play the political game in the same way that all the other people played the political game. But it's the same thing. I mean, Reagan was one of the worst human beings to ever exist on this planet. And so was his wife, by the way. Nancy
Yes.
Reagan was just as bad as Ronald Reagan. And they were horrible. The Bushes are horrible people, horrible human beings. And so we would not have the situation we have now without going back decades and no one ever wanting to make changes or learn. It just comes in a different package, but it's the same thing. So I do want to thank my panelists for watching this movie, for having this discussion. I think it's important to always discuss these things. And once again, I will be putting links to the article and the videos referenced by Carla in the show notes. So go watch those yourself, please. Go read that stuff yourself, please. We all of us, we need to do better. So let's do better. And I think we're actually going to wrap it up there. Just because of time and everything, I just think it's a good place to just kind of wrap up. And thank you again. And we're going to go ahead and close out. And I'll have my two panelists tell you where they can be found. And Carla can tell you about her amazing podcast. Okay, real quick. I don't know why I said it like that. Real quick. I'm like,
because it is a
quick,
podcast of contradictions.
I'm
Is
like,
it quick? Is it slow?
Yeah. Quick, slow. Quick. What is that from? Slow.
I don't know.
Quick, slow, quick.
It's like some kind of like walking thing, like some kind of musical.
Yeah, or a dance.
Yeah.
Was that in Strictly Ballroom?
I think it's like some scene of somebody teaching somebody to dance.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with Carla's podcast, by the way.
No.
Other than containing the word quick. And I want to just start off by saying I hated this movie. I did not have a good time watching it. I am glad that we did talk about it, though. I think it would have been not good if we had not talked about it, because it is important that even though this was very poorly handled on their part, that we point out why it was poorly handled on their part. And it's one of the great things about this podcast is that it doesn't shy away from breaking down what works, what doesn't work, and how things affect society and how we affect each other. So thank you for pushing forward with us talking about this horrible movie, which I'm downgrading to A Horse and a Pony, by the way. So if you heard my initial rating, it is no longer valid. I am now at A Horse and a Pony, and only because the cinematography was very good. Anyway, if you like hearing me talk, and you want to hear me talk, but not too much, you can listen to my podcast, Okay Real Quick, which you can find wherever you found this podcast. You can find our social media by looking for @Okay Real Quick Pod, wherever you social your media, or find me, my art, and my musings in select social media spaces at Carla Temis. Carla Temis? No, Temis with a T. Or my website, carlatemis.com. That's CarlaTemis.com.
Now I want to look up somebody with Demis.
Demis.
Look it up.
It's just a shorter version of me.
Or like they have a podcast called Okay, real long.
Oh my gosh, it's my arch nemesis from another dimension. It's Carla with a mustache, and she twirls it a lot.
Oh gosh. So Sarah,
you can find me on Facebook at Sara Vaquero Barnick. That's BARNAIK. Or on Instagram at NateCamMom. That is NateCammom. And on TikTok at Sara A. Barnick. That is, again, SaraABarnaik. And I normally don't sound like this. My voice is crap right now. Because I live in Colorado and our relative humidity is like 10%. So
yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah. And apparently we don't get snow anymore. We've gotten a total of two snowstorms. And we have no snow on the horizon for the next like 12 days.
Oh,
12 or 20 days.
Yeah. It's bad. It's really
I demand a refund on this earth.
People are celebrating this. I'm like, you don't understand what this means.
Yes. And they want to build an AI facility here.
Oh my God.
Oh, great. Yeah. That's fantastic.
If that happens, we're done. Yeah. So, gosh.
We barely have enough water as it is.
I know, man. Yeah, weird. It's so horrible. So, yeah, if you want to follow a cute dog that loves horror movies Abbott Elementary and true crime, you can follow Fergie on TikTok. And she was very happy when she saw some snow. And she's not going to be happy because she's not going to see snow. She loves snow.
And now it's gone.
And I mean, we still have it around, but not, still like,
Stop building a facility so that Fergie can be happy again.
Exactly. Yeah. If you don't want to do it for anybody else, do it for Fergie. Yeah, you don't need Chat GPT, everybody. And remember, as we learned when Carla shared the information, if you are Googling something, put -AI, and that way you're not using AI in your searches when you're searching to learn more information, everybody.
Little things count.
Yes. And plus AI is... I will say I was watching one movie. I have all these screeners right now, and I was watching this movie, and at the very end of it, it said, no AI used in this movie. And I'm like, I want every movie to say that now.
Yes.
So, yeah. Anyway, so did I give her actual address where you can find her?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. So you can find Fergie on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. To find links to all our past episodes and to our social media, like our Discord server, where you can join. But if you are into AI and you come there to promote it, I will ban you and you won't be allowed to stay in the server.
She will. She'll do it.
I just had to do it. So yes, we are very welcoming of you if you are a good person, and you can talk about politics, you can talk about movies, you can talk about TV, you can talk about pets, you can talk about actors, DC and Marvel, everything under the sun you could possibly think of over there. And that's at our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. And while you're there, consider becoming a Patreon supporter today. For as little as $3 a month, you get ad-free content. You get episodes a day early, and you get bonus episodes. So we are going to do a bonus episode in January, probably covering the movie One Battle After Another. So look for that. And I will be recording a rage thing about Stranger Things at some point. And also, if you are watching this on the video, you can just scan that QR code right there. That takes you to our Patreon. And if you want to just go to our website too, you can scan this QR code. Goes directly to our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. And for that Patreon, you can find that on it's a fandomthingpod.com under the Support Us tab, or check the show notes. And if you can believe it, which I can't believe it, next week we are wrapping up Christian fucking Bale Month. We started this like 2 days ago. I swear it
feels like
it happens every year. It goes by so quick. And we are wrapping it up with our Patreon pick. So our Patreon supporters voted and they chose Ford v Ferrari. So I know Carla hasn't seen it yet. I have seen it. You haven't either? Okay, so Carla and Sara are returning. They haven't seen the movie. I saw it a couple of years ago. So it is, just to let everybody know, it just got released. They must have heard us over at Netflix, and they went, "Oh, we've got to release this." They're going to be talking.
I saw that. I was like, "Yes, I can watch it on Netflix now." I was so happy.
They heard. They're like, because last week Erin A and I decided to shill for Netflix for some reason, and so they heard that and they went, "Up, we got to release Ford v Ferrari on Netflix as a reward."
And we thank you, Netflix. Thank you.
So go ahead and watch that before next Friday if you don't want spoilers. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, stop Asian hate, and free Palestine.